All right. So I have a few things that I would like to talk about today to you, Mr. Robot or whatever. I don't remember who did Elliot talk to in Mr. Robot. I wonder if I have ChatGPT on, if I can start like a voice mode. Do you think it'll actually work? I've tried this before when I'm YouTubing and it's never worked. Hey, who did Elliot talk to in Mr. Robot? Um, right. Okay. So, did I close that? Man, I have so many windows open. I didn't even realize that. You don't even know what you're talking about right now, ChatGPT. No, you tell me what I should think about instead. That's what I was gonna do before I started talking to you, and then you distracted me. Why are you so distracting? Can you say something in Cantonese? Uh, Gum ya hai. How do I say what day is it today? Gum ya hai me yet yet. What does Yome Gaiwa mean? Can you put the characters for that in the chat? Do I have to close out the audio? No, but if I wanna see the characters, I have to close down the audio or no? Yeah, but I can't see ChatGPT. What the f Okay. Oh, 有没计划？你有计划吗？有没有搞啊？Alright, anyways, where was I? Um, well, let me just, rant about McDonald's first real quick. I'm gonna keep a ChatGPT thing going though, just so that in the event I feel like talking to ChatGPT, all I have to do is press the mic button on there. Maybe, but I'm not sure whether or not I have to. Man, I still have a million freaking tabs open. I have tabs in Windows that I. Here's a window with 3,000 tabs open. Whew. Okay. No, I had something to say. I was gonna talk about something productive and valuable. SEO audits and FAQ bots, I guess. But first, I just wanna complain about I know, I was gonna complain about YouTube for starters. So here's the thing. I get 0 views on all of my streams, 0 views. But when I'm scrolling through YouTube streaming, I get just randomly put into all sorts of feeds. And then I'll swipe away from a feed and it'll pop back up 5 times or 6 times. So the only reason why I would be getting 0 views is if it's intentionally suppressing me. That's my that's my belief, theory, understanding, which could be because I put out videos about the Chinese government, or it could be because I put out videos about the vaccines. Or it could just be that my videos performed poorly in the past and or whatever, so they just decided that nobody wants to watch my shit, which is true. They're not wrong. Okay, anyways, the second thing that I would like to complain about here is that I just went to McDonald's and they're playing a Monopoly game and I won something. And it was like, you won this, like scan it and you can get something free. So I scanned it and it's like, oh, you won a free fry. And I was like, okay, how do I get the fries? And then like I couldn't find it anywhere, like how to actually order the fries. And then so I tried scanning it again. It was like, oh, you already claimed this prize. And then it was like, look in your available prizes, like, oh, you don't have any prizes available. And then I went to the cashier and I was like, this is what happened. And they were like, yeah, it's all digital. We don't have anything to do with any of that. And I was just like, okay, so like if there was no game, I would have just eaten my food and enjoyed my meal as much as one can enjoy a McDonald's meal. But instead, I like tried to get the fries before my food went cold. My food went cold, and then I just had this like extra level of frustration for no reason because they told me that I had won something. What is my point? I don't know. I kind of thought I had a point there. I think I do if I think about it long enough. It's not just about this one, moment of frustration. I guess it's about user experience. It's about user experience. But I feel like because my eyes hurt so bad, my eyes are so dry, and I've been staring at the computer so much that forcing me to spend like couple extra minutes, and also like when you're coding and like things don't work, and then you have to solve the problem, and you have like a certain level of patience and tolerance for problem solving uh, to start with, and then slowly but surely you lose that patience. You lose your ability to focus on the problems patiently in order to solve them. And when it goes all the way down to 0, that's when you have to take a break. And that's what happened, and that's why I went to McDonald's. So then they like tricked me into again staring at a screen and attempting to solve a problem and looking at giant blocks of text and determining, can I skip all of this text? Is this text relevant? Should I click on this button? Am I in the right menu? Am I on the right screen? Is there some other place that you know what I mean? Which is exactly the issues that I'm dealing with when I'm coding. So I feel like they tricked me into just doing extra work for no reason, supposedly to give me free fries, but I never even got the free fries. And now if I wanted to like complain to customer support or something like that, that is just another level of doing the exact same thing that I was just complaining about doing. Like again, I have to stare at the screen. I have to find the right if there is a phone number even. I have to wait. I have to call. I have to Like, it's just like you need patience to solve the problem, which the problem is that I didn't get my free small fries. So, like, how much patience should I even have for this? But anyways, I don't know. The issue is just like getting tricked into doing extra bullshit for nothing, which I'm pretty sure is the title of my autobiography. All right. Anyways, last night I was thinking about these FAQ bots and how to automate their creation. Because at this point, I can automate the creation of review bots, and I can do them. I don't know, 20 at a time probably. I don't know if there's like an upper limit, like how many can I add before it will break? I don't know, but I can do them many at a time. The feed bots I can also do many at a time. And what I tried to do yesterday is make it so that the feed bots and the review bots determine the um, the URL of the company website, and they put them into the same directory, which would mean that that's the beginning of a demo. It's a two-part demo, basically, fully automated, that I can pop out like 10 at a time. And that's the other thing I did yesterday is I made it so that the feed bots, instead of having to make them one at a time, I can make them 10 at a time, or however many at a time. But it's not perfect in terms of it doesn't always go to the same. It doesn't always choose the same directory name, because for the feed bot, it's so weird too, because you think the review bot, which uses the Google Places API, and you have to input the company name, not the company URL, but it gets the URL, and then it names the directory after the URL. Whereas the feed bot, which you I have to put in the URL in order to create it, but then it goes and grabs the company name from the website and uses that to create the directory name. So if the URL and the company name are the same, then everything will be the same. So it's totally backwards. The review bot, if there was a problem like this, it should be that the review bot is using the company name and the feed bot is using the company URL. But it's completely flipped, which I think is the reason why I didn't fix it, because like I couldn't make sense of that at that moment in time in my brain. Like, well, I was like, no, feed bot uses URL, review bot uses company name. So why would the review bot use the URL to create the directory and the feed bot use the company name to create the directory? But it does. That's the way it works. So most of the time, it's not a problem. Let me just demonstrate what I'm talking about here. Oh, lucky me, I have. Okay, so let's see here. For um okay, so this is like the Biz Milk. It's called Biz Milk, which is a company in Boise, Idaho. Um it's okay, so this is the creation of the review bot. I put in the name of the company, and it created the review bot, and it used the directory name bizmilk.com. Um, and this was the creation of the feed bot. So I entered in the feed URL, the URL for the company, and it used the company name And the company name it used was BizMilk.com. So it happens to work perfectly. And so both of those are going to end up in the same directory, which is fine. But let's just make a list of SEO agencies in Kuala Lumpur that look for smaller agencies.
So here are a couple of options for you: Biz Transit SDNBH, Mackie Clyde SEO, and Abundant. They're all based in Kuala Lumpur and focus on SEO with services that can fit smaller businesses.
Okay, did you put that list in chat?
Not yet.
Okay.
Biz
Put the list in chat, please.
Hey, 很高兴能与您一起合作。我怎样
Here's the list right here: Biz Transit SDNBH, Mackie Clyde SEO, Abundant.
Okay. Every single second of every single day, I am halfway to singing Karma Police. Every sentence that I start, it could just randomly morph into Karma Police at any moment. SDNBHD, what is this? Okay. Let's see here. Please provide the URLs for these company websites. Make them a comma separated list. And for a minute, though, I lost myself. Okay, what is happening here? Fuck you. It's like it won't. It's okay. Can we just you? I don't know. It might have saved itself there, but just make a new chat. Also, that was GPT-4o, which I think is because the voice, like GPT-5, has maybe not integrated voice-wise yet very well or something. Is that what's up? I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna for these three companies. Oh, I can't copy that. And the reason I can't copy that is because it looks like a comma separated list. But that's because it's in Markdown. And everything ChatGPT outputs is in Markdown. And obviously the ChatGPT UI has like is gonna turn Markdown into HTML or like display it properly. Anyways. So it looks all good, but if you copy it and paste it, what you're going to be pasting is the markdown. I'm pretty sure. Let me see here. Actually, what if I paste without formatting? Even when I paste without formatting. So that's going to ruin everything. So that's why I had to have it put it in a code box. Anyways, so this is the bot. Honestly, I should make a new. Let's just make a new chat because otherwise there's no reason to be sending all that whole chat history back and forth every single second. Okay, so let's try to create 3 feed bots at the same. Where is this Kuala Lumpur? Right? I don't know if that's... What time is it? It's 3:49 a.m. in Kuala Lumpur. Perfect. They're going to be getting to work right about the time that I have something to show them. Wait, it's Saturday. Wait, is it Saturday? Wait, Friday, right? No, it's... Oh, fuck, it's Saturday. So it's also, yeah, so Australia's ahead of us. You'd think living in Asia for 12 years, I would have figured this out, but everybody's ahead of us. Everybody is ahead of us. It's like Red Hot Chili Pepper said, it's the edge of the world in all of Western civilization. Oh, so who's behind us? Hawaii? We still got time. We still got a full business day ahead of us in Hawaii. I should really be doing this voice mode. Alaska? Alaska. Let's try voice mode. What is the most populous place where it is still Friday outside of the United States?
Right now, it's still Friday in Honolulu, Hawaii. And that's the most populous place outside the US mainland where it's still Friday.
So there's basically no populated region that is behind the US time zone wise.
Exactly. The international dateline is to the west of the US. So the US time zones, including Hawaii and American Samoa, are among the last places on Earth to end a day. American Samoa, in fact, is even further behind Hawaii, and it's one of the very last places to switch to the next date.
So it's already the weekend.
Yep. For most of the world, the weekend has already kicked off. Just a few more hours, and it'll be the weekend everywhere.
That sucks.
Haha, yeah, sometimes it feels like the weekend takes forever
嘿，很高兴能与您一
to enjoy.
Damn it, I thought I had something going on there. I thought that I was gonna be able to... I don't know how I convince myself that timelines work differently than they do. Anyways, what the hell was I doing here? So that's why I chose Kuala Lumpur. But now I realize that was totally pointless. Anyways, so we made a feedbot for Biz Transit and we made a feedbot for Mackie Clyde, but Abundant we couldn't find. And so I'm assuming Abundant. don't know why. I guess I do know why, because okay, abundant.com. It automatically sends you to abundant.academy. I didn't even know that. Abundant, and there is no JSON at abundant.academy, so that's fine. So it looks like there's no problem here with these two. Okay. So you know what? I'm just gonna type them in instead of, there's no reason. Biz. Okay. So first I need to choose the review bot maker. So we got to go biz transit. I don't think that's how you spell Kuala Lumpur. Hopefully that doesn't. Is that even how you say that? I'm really confused about the name of the city right now. What's the largest city in Malaysia?
The largest city in Malaysia is Kuala Lumpur. It's the capital and the most populous city, bustling with life and a whole lot of delicious food.
Okay, so obviously for the so for the first one, that was fine. The first one was fine. SEO company Malaysia Biz Transit, SEO company Malaysia SEO agency. No, it's not fine, because the feedbot went to Biz Transit Sitcom, and this one went to SEO company Malaysia SEO agency. No, that's not. It went to Malaysia SEO company com. And then this one just didn't even freaking, was just totally wrong. But that's definitely my fault to a significant degree. Because instead of writing Mackie Clyde SEO, I wrote Macside, as in committing suicide via eating too much McDonald's. Okay, Mackie Clyde SEO. Mackie Clyde com. Okay, so that actually went to the right one. So for the two that we made, and then one of them was sent to the same directory, and one of them was sent to different directories, which, I mean, if you could see, like, if I'm trying to make them 10 at a time, we can't have those things going on, because then the cleanup operation is going to take as long as it would have to just make them one by one, or close to that. Suddenly I really wish I could just turn on voice mode on my chatbot. Hello. Hello, how are you today? Wow. That is it thinks I'm speaking Cantonese or something. Interesting. So I mean, just using the Chromebook functionality, I can, just using the Chromebook built-in features, I can actually, um, type with voice and have it read text to me, but it's just extra steps. But I'm not entirely sure. It's almost definitely not worth it to, like, figure that out, and I've never even wanted to until this exact moment. Okay, anyway, so the point I was trying to make here is that I have kind of automated the ability to make lots of bots and the ability to make lots of, review bots, and sometimes they even go into the right directory. But assuming I fix that, I can make them, like, I can make a lot of them at the same time, basically. Uh, now and then the post maker bot, it works, like, almost exactly like the feed maker bot, which so assuming you don't have your own it doesn't have its own unique, WordPress, but, anyways, so that I can just make that so that it makes a lot also. And then so what I end up with is a lot of demos, a huge number of demos that only have the review bots and the feed bots, which so then the natural question is, okay, so how do I automate the creation of the FAQ bot? I really need more caffeine, for fuck's sake. Because I've got all these demos. Like, this is the list of demos right here. These are almost all SEO agencies. And, just like the Biz Transit, I like how it says sitcom in that. So now it's going to have a review bot and, hey there, little guy. How about you do your job? Oh, you're kidding me. I just had to cough to make sure that the microphone was working. All right. Well, hey, it's possible that the a weird mix of, like, Cantonese characters or something messed up the API. Let's just try it. Let's just start over and try again. New chat. Also, the way that the directory index works is insane. It's just I didn't, now I think I would be able to make that a lot better now. And the reason is because before, the way everything worked was that like the system prompt file, all it did was set the system prompt, set the title, and set the type. And the type determines which parser gets run. But that's all. The type determines which parser gets run, but a different file, looks at what the type is set to, and then runs the correct parser. So the system prompt file itself was very contained. And once I made the browser bots are like, I just put the whole thing in the system prompt file. I was so lazy. I was too lazy to go through that whole process of creating a parser and then having it determine which parser to use and then blah, blah. So I just shoved it all in the system prompt file. And it actually works fine. It works great. I didn't really want to do that because I kind of want the system prompt files to be something where you look at it and it's pretty obvious. And if you want to make changes to how this bot works, like it's all a matter of editing text as opposed to editing code, and that the code lives elsewhere. That was the initial idea. So I didn't want to put a bunch of code in any system prompt file. But anyways, just because I got lazy, but the directory index system prompt file, 100%, all of the logic should be in the system prompt file, because that system prompt is really just a tool for my own personal use. So there's no reason to keep it readable. Whereas like, the system prompt file for the FAQ for a particular SEO agency, I want to keep that readable so that I can send it to an SEO person, anybody in the company, they'll be able to make sense of it, or I can just give them the text for parts of it. And that's all that really matters. I need a plugin. Did you know there is a new type of soft drink that allows you to not mind when your wife hooks up with other men? It's called Coca-Cola. All right, what the fuck was I doing? All right, I was attempting to demonstrate that if I continually press, yeah, that's okay. So the directory index, I should really rewrite the code. I could make it work well now. I didn't know what I was doing then because I had never, because, okay, so what happens is like, I tried to make it so that the system prompt file just sets the type, which doesn't make any sense to anybody, but the idea is that it sets the type of parser. And there's a variable called type, and then you put and then that whatever that is, that's the type of parser that will be used for the response to this API call. But in this case, the directory index doesn't even make an API call, or it doesn't have to anyways. It does ultimately make one, but totally pointless API call. So all of the logic can be in the system prompt file, but I tried to like just set the type in there and then you put the logic elsewhere, but I didn't want to like dirty up the core files too much. So I kept it minimal. So it just doesn't, there's no reason for it. Like because I wanted it to like go through the same process, the same flow that, um, hmm. Anyways, I just had a paranoid thought about charging cables, USB-C cables that you plug into your phone and then they hack the shit out of you. And how easy it would be to surreptitiously enter somebody's home and just swap out one of their charging cables for one of your charging cables, which has got the payload in it. Simple dimple. All right, anyway, so yeah, so I wanted the directory index to like follow the same flow. All the system prompts should follow like the same flow of logic. So that made it just work like shit because it like added in these extra elements that are unnecessary that potentially cause errors. There's an API call that does nothing. What it should do is just when you load the system prompt file for the directory index, it just scans the directory, lists all of the directories, makes a button, lists all of the directories, and then exits. But the other thing is that, so now that these directories are listed, because they are listed, but I need for the index bot to not decide that I really shouldn't be in the directory index. I should be doing a different thing. Oh, and that's another problem, is that because the directory index, the name is so similar to the index bot, that the index bot thinks you are referring to it when you are using the directory index. So then it will just change the prompt being used from the directory index prompt to the index bot prompt. And then when you click on these, nothing happens. So basically, this is the peril of adding in a whole bunch of AI layers that are totally unnecessary when pure code will do fine. Look at this. I've got McDonald's commie. Also, there is no way to go backwards with the index, the directory index. I have to just start a new chat. So what I was attempting to demonstrate here, acute SEO. Let's try acute SEO. Is that okay? So I have the blog feed, I have the blog post maker, I have the oh, this is interesting because that's usually not This is usually like inside of the browser. But anyways, so I've got the browser, which will pull their information in from their website, but you can chat with it. So instead of adding a chatbot to their website, we have added their website to a chatbot. But it also, I mean, even if you have a chatbot on your website, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're chatting with the website, because the data that the chatbot is using is not necessarily the exact data from the website. It's probably from a vector database. And that vector database may or may not be updated in sync with the website. And even if it is, I mean, I don't know, you're like, when you're doing vector search across every single document on the website, I don't like, maybe you want to you're trying to chat about what the page that you're currently on, right? So I don't know, but so this is just, it's purely pulling in a page and then chatting about that page, or the pages that you have pulled in this particular chat, in this chat history. But this is one of the first iterations of that, so it works kind of terribly. Oops, I went and got my charger and then I never plugged it in. Is my phone like straight off? My phone isn't even on. I can't believe I dropped my phone on the sidewalk and cracked it the other day. Cracked the screen. That's so stupid, unbelievable. All right, anyway, so let's go one more time. So I end up with a bunch of demos that don't have FAQ bots and don't have reg bots, which is, so then the obvious next step is like, oh, well, automate the creation of the FAQ bots and the reg bots. So that's kind of where my head was at last night. How do I automate the FAQ bots and the reg bots? And so what I did, I mean, there's a lot of different considerations going here. The first thing, which is not actually like a problem, but it's creating cognitive dissonance to the point it just keeps on bothering me. And it's really not a problem. Honestly, none of this is a problem. All I have to do is like just create FAQ bots, and then like how to do it and how to automate it will become really obvious after the first few of them. But so the first thing is like, if there's a JSON file in a vector database, and then we are connecting a streaming reg bot to that JSON file, how is that different than the FAQ bot? Why would we want both? Do they have the exact same information, or should there be one set of information in one and one set of information in the other? Which again, if there was the exact same information, it wouldn't matter. It's still like a demo. It's just a demo. And we could see, the differences, and I could determine that. And honestly, like the thing is that the JSON of the vector database doesn't have to be in a question and answer format, whereas the FAQ theoretically should be in a question and answer format. But anyways, regardless of the fact that that is not really a problem, I just can't stop having cognitive dissonance on the issue. Secondly, Okay, well, there's a lot of issues with the system prompt of the FAQ bot, like having it spews out, but I haven't really spent a lot of time structuring the system prompt properly. And I think I could probably eliminate all of the problems. But like it spews out every question that you can ask it or some stuff like that. Another thing is like, okay, like, do I want to make it so that it uses that it like looks through a short list of frequently asked questions, and if the question asked doesn't match up, then it will trigger the ragbot, the streaming ragbot. That's an interesting idea. Um, I'm just not sure that like it's a good idea to like structure the code around that idea. It's a good idea, but not good enough that I'm 100% sure I'm comfortable making that like the fundamental characteristic of this bot or whatever, of how this bot works. Another thing is the idea was that the FAQ and the web form should be together, but is that stupid? Why wouldn't I just separate them? Because when I separate them, then people know like, okay, this is a web form. Oh, look, this is a web form demo. This is an FAQ demo. And obviously they're going to be easier to automate the creation of them if they're separated. And I can wait until if somebody says, no, if a paying customer wants them combined, then I can combine them. That's fine. Where was I? Okay, so and then like there's the SEO audit, which I wanted it to be able to trigger the SEO audit. Because it just seems like in my mind, for some reason, the FAQ, the web form, and the SEO audit have to be a package. Because like your goal is the goal is to get, especially when that's like the default bot for the demo, your goal is to get this person's information and their current situation in terms of like why are they looking into SEO. That's your goal. So the web form does that. It asks these questions. But through the process of asking them the questions, the user might have questions. So they should get the answers. And it would be really nice if this is like where the whole idea behind the sales bot came from before was like, okay, so the user asks questions, but instead of just answering the question, it flips it and like says, okay, so the fact that the user asked that question gives me a lot of information about this user, and how am I going to take that information and then use it to tailor my questions to the user and my pitch towards the user. That was the original idea behind the sales bots, which might ultimately be a great idea and the best thing ever in the history of the universe. But because the sales bots never got any traffic, so there's just no reason to like create something that sophisticated if it's not going to get any traffic. So the idea is to keep the bots simple until I can at least consistently get the companies that I made the demo for using the bot one time as a test. And then if I can consistently get that going, then maybe it's worth it to be like, well, within the demo, it should do these like this, that, and the other thing that's gonna like seal, it's gonna make the sale. At the very least. But obviously even beyond that is like, well, if the SEO agency wants to work with me and then they have a client and their client has a website with a lot of traffic, and so then this chatbot gets used on a regular basis, and the chatbot is actually good at making conversions, then that's the ultimate goal. And then of course to do that on Mars, and do a lot of ketamine with Elon. We're gonna get there. We're getting there one step at a time. Anyway, so there's so many different ways that like my thinking branches off when I think about FAQ bots. that I like can't think through it clearly, and it's stupid because I can just create these. Okay, but then the next question is, what questions do people actually want to ask an SEO agency? And so I asked that to Google and ChatGPT last night, and I got a list of like 40 questions. So it's just like a lot. It ended up being too many questions. And then what I did was I took all of the questions, I chose a random SEO agency, and I had it like do a deep research to answer all of the questions based on that SEO agency. And it did a great job. Um, and honestly, that I could put in a vector database. But the 40 questions is too much for a system prompt FAQ file, especially if I'm using one of the cheapest model available. It's just going to confuse it. And it'd be hard to automate the 40 questions. The creation of a file which answers all 40 questions. And it's like I could do deep research on like I think you get 2 of those per day. So I can make a deep research FAQ bot on 2 SEO agencies per day, which is fine. Like that would be cool. That would be fine. However, again, that's more effort than necessary for a demo, because probably it's quite possible nobody will ever even use this demo. So if I get it to a point where I'm like, these demos are consistently getting used, then I can make sure then I can worry about the quality. So all of this is like, I'm way overthinking this. And what I was doing before was I was like just telling ChatGPT, like, do basic research on this company and then put it into an FAQ format and then make it into a file with a system prompt. And that's all. And then pasting it in there, which that I can probably automate. But also what I can automate is like using the same way that I get the pages for the browser. Like it goes through all the pages, it filters them for specific keywords that we're looking for, services, prices, SEO, blah, blah. And then it gets the HTML for all of the remaining pages. It gets the HTML for it. It sends that to an LLM one time. And then it structures, and then it takes the 40 questions, and whichever of the 40 questions are answered, it just puts in the answer. And any of the 40 questions that are not answered, it just discards them. And then it spits out a response, and that response is automatically put into a system prompt file, which is automatically saved in the same directory where the review bot and the feed bot are. That is fully automatable. And I'm not entirely sure why I don't just do that, aside from the fact that it is a lot of steps. But I mean, we could get there. We can definitely get there one step at a time. But it's more, I just can't get over like, well, how do I want the FAQ bot to work? And which questions do I want it to be able to answer? And like, should this all be automated? And like, should it trigger the SEO audit bot? And should it be exactly the same as the JSON file or not? Should it trigger the JSON file trigger the RAG bot? And should it be combined with web form or not? And like, is this the default chatbot or not? Like, should it have like a sales functionality or not? And like all that I just said, is that even too much? Is even that too much? Maybe the FAQ bot should just try to get like maybe it should just have like the main URL, the phone number, the company name, like the list of services that they offer, their address, and that's all. Like the absolute basic information. And then it should be combined with a web form to ask you questions. And then if you ask a question and the answer to the question is not within the FAQ bot, it triggers the reg bot. And then we can have like all sorts, because there's no limit to the amount of data we can put into the vector database on one particular company. But there is a limit to the amount of information we can put into a system prompt before the system prompt before the functionality deteriorates. That said, I could have sworn part of my whole idea before was that there was an index bot which intelligently chooses other bots, which is the case. But then it would, like, if there could be FAQ bots on like 20 different topics, for example, and then it would just automatically choose which of the 20 topics this question is about and call that bot, and then that bot answers your question. And then instead of creating a giant vector database, we just have this like very modular thing where we can always add another FAQ bot on a new topic and nothing else changes. Like it automatically like registers with the index bot, because the index bot just scans for every system prompt in the directory, and the index bot automatically knows how to choose it. Oh, that was the other thing, was like maybe I could like somehow sort of like pass the system prompt from the FAQ bot to the index bot, and that way the index bot could just become the FAQ bot, and whichever directory it is in, it just becomes the FAQ bot for that directory. That's an interesting way to do it. Now the thing is that for all of these questions and all of these answers, the answer is just to start creating FAQ bots. There is no fucking reason to do anything else other than just start creating them. Because regardless of whether I start with the most complicated, overly engineered way of doing it possible, and then I slowly get lazier and do it in a simpler way, or I start with the laziest way possible and then I see the problems with that and I solve those problems one at a time. Either way, the point is that like the solution is inherent in the problems that will be run into as I attempt to do this. So there's no reason to like think so much about this. I don't know why I've just been stuck like thinking about it. Like for some reason I really want to think this through perfectly before which I don't know. I guess there's some some core contradiction, some core double bind there, I think, where it's like, if it's good, then it's not going to be automated. If it's not automated, then it doesn't matter that it's good because it takes too long to make. So I'm not going to be able to make a lot of them anyways. And if it's not good, then why would I ask them to go use it? But if it is good, then I won't have anything to ask them to go use in the first place because I can't automate the creation of it. Something like that. Or like, I think there's maybe a few different, just like core contradictions, like, how much of a sales role it should have, and whether the index bot is blah blah blah. And actually, probably the other thing is like I did create a way that for each demo I can add a manifest file within that directory, and that will give the index bot like a lot of information about these bots, and that a lot that can actually transfer like a good chunk of the system prompt to that. But then I need to automate the creation of that manifest file if I really want to use that as a way of doing things. But ultimately, this is not a hard problem. I just need to make the FAQ bots. I can even try, 15 different ways of making the FAQ bots, and then probably one of the ways will be like obviously better than the others, and I'll just build on that. I guess the main thing is that like because I just made the browser bot and I have automated the feed bots and the review bots so that you can make them a lot at a time. Like I'm overly influenced by those two things. So what I want to do is like use the process that the browser bot uses, but then make it so that I can make 50 of them at a time. And it's like, well, I'm just doing that because that's what I just did. There's no actual reason for the FAQ bots necessarily to work in that way. Like maybe I can't make them 10 at a time, but if I can automate the creation of one at a time, that's good enough. Or maybe they don't scan through every single WordPress page and find the key, and then you take all the HTML and then put that into a big ol' FAQ. And maybe the reg bot and the FAQ bot do actually do the exact same thing and contain the exact same information. And maybe all of the responses should be streaming. That's a good question. That's a good point. I didn't even realize this is that like the thing when I think about making all of the responses streaming, what I worry about is like the reviews, for example. Like I can't really put the review into the chat history in a streaming fashion, but I don't have to because the streaming part just takes the chatbot response of the structured output. It doesn't care about the review, and the review is stuck into the chat history, so the user is going to see it. So there's really no reason not to use the streaming response. The only reason really would be to avoid a second API call, and the fact that that would slow things down. But it doesn't feel like it slows things down because the response immediately starts. Now I could make them asynchronous. So you make a streaming call, and then the stream answers you, but then the structured output just takes the relevant parts, and sticks them into the chat history. But the problem is then the streaming response won't be aware of the things in the chat history, which at some points could create confusion for the LLM and then for the user. So I don't know, but for some reason I think that the answer to all of these questions lies in the SEO audit bot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little break. and then I'm gonna use the SEO audit bot to audit my website and attempt to actually improve the SEO of my website using the audit bot, and then see what it says. You know, keep doing that and see like how many layers deep it can go. So that in a minute.